Gracias por estar aquí. Luego de que la semana pasada Nancy Mace hiciera una controversia aquí en los Estados Unidos a todos los niveles, por ella negarse a que una política demócrata ocupara el baño de los hombres, estoy hablando específicamente de Sarah McBride, que es la primera transgénero, el primer hombre que se viste de mujer que llega a las cámaras de los Estados Unidos. Siguen las amenazas, siguen los conflictos, siguen los debates. Vamos a ver las últimas noticias y un interesante, se puede decir, debate que hubo con Piers Morgan. Ustedes saben, a mí me encanta Uncensored, el canal de YouTube de Piers Morgan. Muy, pero muy bueno. Dice: la representante Nancy Mace se enfrenta a una activista transgénero durante un evento del panel. Recuerden que ella ha recibido múltiples amenazas por la posición que tomó. Una destacada activista de los derechos digitales que es transgénero, o un destacado activista, porque si es transgénero es un hombre, se enfrentó a la representante Nancy Mace en un evento público el jueves, días después de que la congresista de Carolina del Sur, representante de una resolución, presentar una resolución para prohibir que las mujeres transgénero usen el baño de los hombres, o de las mujeres, en realidad, en el Capitolio. Evan Greener, el director de Fight for the Future, se puso de pie durante el panel de lanzamiento de la Cumbre del Futuro de Internet en la Universidad de Georgetown en Washington, D.C. y mostró una bandera del orgullo del abecedario. Mace estaba hablando junto al representante demócrata Ro Khanna en el presentador de Rio Charman the God con el presentador de radio Charlemagne the God sobre el tema soluciones tecnológicas bipartidistas para unir a la nación. Y este es el clic específicamente. Para los que no saben inglés, va a haber subtítulos en pantalla. No está bien grabado, pero aquí está la información.
I'm sorry. You're living with that in real time right now. This is ridiculous. It is the day after Trans Day of Visibility. We have had dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies that you are spreading. And if we want an internet, are we building an internet with free speech for everyone or just the privileged?
Ustedes saben que esos aplausos significan que estas personas no estaban ahí por casualidad. Fueron colocados ahí específicamente para apoyar esto.
Few. Are you going to stand up for the lives of trans people, black and brown people? Are we fighting for justice or are we fighting for big tech?
Miren, lo interesante de esto es, miren los aplausos, los aplausos, qué tímidos son. Hace un año atrás, no un año atrás, hace 7 meses atrás, eso hubiese sido un standing ovation. La gente se hubiese parado a aplaudir a este tipo. Pero mire cómo va cambiando la mentalidad. Y mire cómo la gente va cada vez más progresivamente. Y yo le he planteado, por lo absurdo que representa, que la gente, coño, es indiferente ya esta vaina, este absurdo del LGTB y todas estas cuestiones. Miren cómo hay aplausos, pero se ve que son algunas de 100 personas que hay ahí, tal vez 17 aplaudieron.
God loves him, I love him, but his penis isn't going to be in my bathroom. So, at any rate, but we have a responsibility. If you're pro-man watching me undressed in a dressing room, you're part of the problem. But we're here to talk about the internet, and Roe being a progressive Democrat, me being a conservative Republican, have found ways to work together on tech issues, freedom of speech issues, and do it in a way that's very successful. Right, Roe?
Well, let me first just thank Frank McCourt. He's a visionary. Let's give him a round.
Lo increíble de todo esto es que tú estás viendo, como ella menciona, donde hay mire esta información. Déjame guardarla aquí. Lo increíble es que hay dos partidos demócratas y republicanos. Y mire cómo ella bien dice, estamos aquí para discutir libertad de expresión en internet, no eso. Vamos a mantener sus palitos fuera del baño de las mujeres. Ahora, esto fueran parte de las amenazas que ella ha seguido recibiendo luego de esta medida que se tomó en el Capitolio.
So what is this?
This says you can't erase us, Nancy.
Esto dice, tú no nos puedes borrar, Nancy.
Well, then you shouldn't try to erase women.
Pues entonces ustedes no deberían tratar de borrar a las mujeres.
Any man that
Yo tengo que decir, por cada hombre
wants to be in a woman's restroom,
que quieren entrar al baño de las mujeres,
bathroom, dressing room, locker room, absolutely not.
no, esto no va a pasar. La mujer está decidida a seguir su lucha, señores. Absolutamente a seguir su lucha. Muchos están a favor, otros están en contra. Claro, yo estoy a favor. Pero vamos a ver a qué abre la puerta esta actitud de que un hombre sencillamente puede identificarse como mujer. Vamos a ver las consecuencias de estas cosas. Escuchen. La muchacha, miren el contexto. Vamos a poner el contexto. La muchacha quería que le cedieran el asiento solo para mujeres. Escuchen lo que dice el hombre.
Vengo en Metrobús y siempre vengo en Metrobús. Civilízate primero. Señora, lea por favor, ahí dice. Sí, soy naca india, pero se
Hay una cosa que se llama derecho a la libre expresión. Y uno es libre de escoger el género que quiera hacer. Si yo quiero ser mujer en este momento, yo voy a ser mujer.
Que venimos aquí.
¿Soy mujer?
Pero es que cuando
Si
vergüenza tuvieras, cuando ves ese tema, te bajabas.
Él tiene razón. Él dice, hay algo que se llama libertad de expresión y la libertad que yo tengo de sentirme del género que yo quiera. En este momento, él no dice ni siquiera yo soy mujer permanente, no, él dice, en este momento yo me siento mujer. Y como yo me siento mujer, yo me puedo sentar aquí. Esa es la puerta que se está abriendo. Miren, se lo voy a poner de manera sencilla. Yo, un hombre masculino, varón, estoy en un restaurante. Hay baños identificados, claro, de hombre y de mujer. Imagínese su mujer entrando a uno de esos baños, que sufre de alguna enfermedad o lo que sea. Y yo voy y entro al baño y saco mi cuestión y orino. Y ella me ve y va y me acusa. Y viene la policía y yo digo, ¿y por qué ustedes me están discriminando? Yo soy una mujer. No hay forma de decir que yo no soy una mujer. Según la lógica, según lo que esta gente plantea. Ese es el problema. Entonces pongamos el escenario de que usted tiene una niña. O como pasa ahí, imagínese un autobús que es designado exclusivamente para mujeres, pero que llega un coro de tigres, de 50 tigres, y todos se sientan. Y cuando la autoridad viene y dice, no, nosotros somos todas mujeres. Y no hay como, eso es discriminatorio decir que yo no soy mujer. Esa es la puerta que se está viendo por eso. Y eso es lo que yo entiendo que Nancy Mace está luchando. Vamos a ver este pequeño intercambio en Piers Morgan.
So many people like me. I never thought Glenn Beck and I would have a 15-minute chat where basically I nod my way through it and so does he. Amala, it feels to me, I mean, just this dancing alone that is going on all over America and the lack of mass protests feels very, very different to when Trump won last time. Are you sensing that?
Yes, 100%. And I think a lot of it has to do with the rhetoric that's been surrounding Trump. And I think this collective realization that we no longer have to be fearful of supporting this man, and we can actually be excited about his second term. You know, prior to this 2024 election, he's been called a fascist, a dictator on day one, an authoritarian. He's been likened to Hitler. And I think that created an environment where a lot of people felt like they had to sort of speak in hushed tones about their support of Donald Trump. Some of the exit polls on election day found that young men in particular were more likely than any other demographic to sort of hide or lie about who they were supporting for president. And now that we've gone through this election cycle, the veil is lifted a little bit. People are coming out and they're dancing. They're talking about what this future could look like over the next 4 years. And I don't think they feel as afraid to speak up about these things. Even the media is going and speaking to Donald Trump. And these are publications that would have recently referred to him as Hitler or a fascist. So yeah. I think the tables are turning a little bit.
Well, they're even heading down there to kiss the ring, which I never thought I'd see from some of the MSNBC anchors. I mean, Luke Beasley, are you joining in the dancing? Are you secretly bopping away there to Young Man by Village People?
Absolutely not. I think
you've got to laugh at that. So I mean, before I let you go, before you start, you have to laugh at the irony that the guy that everyone on the left calls the biggest bigot in America chose the #1 gay anthem as the one he would dance to on stage. Yeah. I mean, come on, it's funny,
heartwarming. So here's what I wish some of you would engage with, which I haven't heard. after Biden won, the MAGA side at large, Trump himself, didn't accept it. I haven't heard you, Piers, say, wow, it's so impressive that whenever our side loses, even though a lot of MAGA folks are saying, if the left loses, they're never going to accept it. They're going to riot this time. It's going to be crazy. We actually accepted it.
Well, not only have I said that, hang on, Luke, hang on. Not only have I said that, I also said,
the point. Come on, hang on, like 2 seconds.
You challenged me. I'm going to respond to that one point, which is actually, I said to Trump's face, I thought it was disgraceful he didn't accept the election result. All right, and I did say that the Democrats deserve credit for the peaceful transfer. So you're completely wrong about that.
No, that during better Piers times you did do that. But I'm talking about just
better Piers
general
times.
understanding.
You mean when you agreed with me?
I wish the MAGA side would do introspection and go, wow, it's not that the left is going, oh, we just love Trump now. It's that we're demonstrating to you what acting like an adult looks like and not lying about the election, not crying for years and years about it, and instead going, even though we still believe Trump has these fascistic tendencies, I still believe he's a threat to our democracy. I'm going to show you what caring about democracy looks like. That's what Biden has done.
Let me respond.
That's what Kamala Harris has done.
Let me respond.
Go for it.
When you say you're not crying about it, you might not be. But all I've seen in the last 2 weeks are people, women in particular, all over TikTok, screaming, cutting their hair off, saying they're never going to have sex with the Trump voter again. And now there's a mass exodus from X because Elon Musk owns it and he's next to Trump, from people like Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, Don Lemon, you name it, off go the lefties. So I'm afraid there is a massive amount of toys out of the stroller going on. So, you know, you can say all you like. You say all like what great losers you are. All I've seen is a lot of squealing and resigning from platforms because they lost.
Y el hecho de que muchos de ellos no lo hacen ni siquiera por Trump. Como el caso que pusimos ayer de Ellen DeGeneres, supuestamente yéndose de los Estados Unidos porque Trump ganó, pero a quien ella lo canceló fue realmente la izquierda, no la derecha, algo que no tiene sentido. Vamos a escuchar esta última parte.
You're doing a huge disservice to your audience, putting on the same discussion, trying to overthrow an election, putting together fake electors to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, trying to get local officials to find fraudulent votes that don't exist. You're putting that on in the same category as people just being upset, like has happened every time people lose, always, in a way that's completely peaceful. And I've gone through this before on this show specifically, which is you have to look at people in positions of power to really get a sense of the significant responses we're seeing to certain things. So when you look at powerful Democrats, I told you before, Vice President Harris, Biden with character and integrity respected these results, whereas Trump, him being the person in a position of power, not some random person on TikTok, didn't do that.
I agree. Listen, you know what, Luke? I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. So, you know, just for what it's worth, I agree with you. Let me bring in Emma, because I want to play a clip. This is of this big Nancy Mace row. She's obviously introduced a bill to bar transgender women from facilities on Capitol Hill. This is a week after the Republican-elect Sarah McBride made history by becoming the first openly transgender person elected to Congress. Let's take a look at the Nancy Mace explanation as to why she's doing this.
This effort in response to Congresswoman McBride's coming to Congress?
Yes, and absolutely, and then some. I'm not going to stand for a man, if someone with a penis is in the women's locker room, that's not okay. And I'm a victim of abuse myself.
Increíble que en pleno 2024 nosotros estemos diciendo lo obvio, que un hombre no debería estar en el baño de las mujeres, ¿no?
I'm a rape survivor. I have PTSD from the abuse I've suffered at the hands of a man. And I know how vulnerable women and girls are in private spaces. So I'm absolutely 100% going to stand in the way of any man who wants to be in a women's restroom, in our locker rooms, in our changing rooms. I will be there fighting you every step of the way.
Now, Emma, Sarah McBride replied by saying this is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing. To which I say, well, I'm not even vaguely right, and I think it's wrong that biological men who've become trans women should be in women's spaces.
You're not vaguely right, Piers?
No,
I just listened to a segment where you agreed with Glenn Beck, one of the furthest right commentators in the country, repeatedly.
But rather
apparently something's happening on the left because Bill Maher and someone you saw on TikTok
I haven't finished yet. Let me ask a question.
Being hysterical. Go ahead.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do not identify, and I know you believe a lot in self-identity. I do not identify as conservative
I don't know
right,
what that
okay?
means.
I'm like Bill Maher. I'm just completely bemused by the woke left and how nuts you've all got, right? And I think this
Bill
election...
Maher's an old,
well, hang on, let me finish.
Ese es el problema con los liberales. Ella ni siquiera lo deja hacerle la pregunta y ya bla, 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 bla.
I haven't asked you a question yet.
I mean...
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Right? Here's my question. If I, as a man who identifies as a liberal, if I can see why it's so wrong for biological men who have now become trans women to be in women's spaces, to be in women's sport, to be everywhere in women's lives where they historically were not biological men supposed to be, why are you not as exercised by this as a woman? I don't get it.
Why?
You're all about women's rights.
First of all, absolutely. I host a sports podcast. I care deeply about sports, and I believe that anybody that identifies as a woman should be able to participate in the sport as long as it abides by the particular bylines or guidelines.
But you know it's wrong. You know it's unfair.
Said sports league, but actually we're talking here about Nancy Mace, who loves a camera in her face and loves attention wherever she can get it. You know, I find it pretty disgusting that she is basically implying that this trans lawmaker, just by being in her presence in the bathroom, may rape her. I do choose to speak up for women's rights. I believe that I do so on my program, The Majority Report, regularly. And I'm disgusted that Nancy Mace has decided essentially to support Donald Trump wholeheartedly, who has been found liable of sexual abuse in court, and multiple of his cabinet appointments, picks, including Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz, have been credibly accused of sexual assault themselves. So apparently it's true.
Acusación y convicción, que tú seas acusado y que seas convicto, no es lo mismo. Y la izquierda le encanta mucho utilizar esto.
For her because
when you say credibly accused,
slightly different
all
in
of
the stall
them,
next
when you say credibly accused,
but it doesn't
the last two
matter
names
to
you
her
mentioned
that Trump has been found liable of sexual assault in court. Piers, has Trump been found liable of sexual assault in court with
Trump was found guilty in a civil action. He denied it, as you know.
Found
and in case of
and
the case of Gaetz and Pete Hegseth,
so the preponderance of evidence went in her direction. And she's been
all right,
and he has been accused by dozens of women. There you go.
Are you finished?
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
When we have a debate, the customary for the host leads it and you respond to questions, okay? If I may be so bold.
Es que no es posible tener una discusión, un debate adecuado, educado y de la mejor manera con alguien de la izquierda, porque ellos no quieren escuchar, ellos quieren hablar, ellos quieren decir su punto de vista, y esto es y ya. No es posible.
The point is that Hegseth and Gaetz have categorically denied any wrongdoing, and none has been proven against them. In Trump's case, it was a civil action, as you know, not a criminal action. The criminal case against him was shuffling paperwork over an alleged one-night stand with a porn star. So it's not quite how you categorized it. Deborah Lee, let me bring you in here.
Has this trans lawmaker been accused of rape?
Mire, yo lo voy a dejar ahí porque es infructuoso ver el debate completo. Pero el punto es que es increíble cómo mujeres biológicas están luchando por el derecho de que un hombre ocupe el baño de una mujer transgénero, un hombre que se viste de mujer, ocupe el baño de una mujer. Yo estaría preocupado porque eso abre muchas puertas, muchas posibilidades. Incluso abre la puerta a la siguiente posibilidad. Imagínate tu hija, 17 años, por la calle, un tipo le empuja, ella lo empuja a él, el tipo le cae a piñazos y la deja desfigurada. Y cuando van a la policía, no, mira, este hombre le dio a esta mujer. No, hombre, no, yo soy una mujer. Yo me identifico como una mujer. Esa es la puerta que están abriendo. Obviamente, visiblemente es un hombre, pero si él dice que es una mujer, ya la ley lo faculta y no, vamos a dejarlo tranquilo. Yo creo que eso no tiene sentido, pero dime tú qué opinas en comentarios. Hola, mi nombre es John Levy, analista político y comunicador. Muchísimas gracias por llegar al final de este contenido. Recuerda suscribirte, comentar y compartir y sobre todo activar la campanita de notificaciones para que te llegue cada vez que subimos un video. Leemos todos los comentarios y sobre todo recuerda ampliar estas y otras informaciones en mi página web johnlevy.com, las noticias como son. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, donde quiera que esté. Un abrazo grande y hasta pronto.